Worship can mean a lot of things to many different people and can even be an extremely hard thing for us to do in our crazy hectic lives, or when something upsetting happens, when we receive bad news. But I want to challenge that.
Worship isn't limited to church doors and church buildings. Worship isn't limited to praising God with hymns and songs and raising our hands up to Him in the good things in life. Worship is living life for Him and praising Him when people expect us these two.
The first chapter of Job tells us all about who he is and what happens to him that is considered his first test or trial. And verse 20 takes place after everything happens and he receives the message after message of bad news. And after the final message at the loss of his children, Job 1:20 says this: "At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship." Job shaving his head and tearing his robes may sound really weird to us, but that was, in that culture, a pagan rite of Job to express his grief, to signify the mourning that he was now going to enter into at all of this news that he had just received. Job first expresses his grief at the news of the loss of his children, but in that, he gives glory to the Lord. The first thing he does after expressing and showing his mourning, he kneels down, he falls to the ground and worships God. In studying Job, I found that often he was characterized as pious, a pious man.
The dictionary definition of pious means having or showing a dutiful spirit of reverence for God or an earnest wish to fulfill religious obligations.
We can often forget that we have this ultimate duty to fulfill to God. We are supposed to be laying our lives down constantly. And Job, being an upright and righteous man, knew that, and knew that even when everything was taken away from him, that he needed to worship God. He says after Job 1:20, in verse 21, "Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, 'Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised.'" This was him declaring that he has no right to hold on to anything but the Lord. The Lord brought him into the world empty-handed, with no clothing on his back. And he was prepared to leave the world in the same exact way. This is Job surrendering everything completely that he had just endured. He surrenders the loss of his children, the loss of his livelihood, and in it completely praises the Lord.
Worship can mean a lot of things. In Hebrew, the different meanings are to serve, to bow down, to prostrate oneself. In Greek, to revere, to serve, to wait on. But I want you to think of what it really means to you. What does it mean for you to worship your God, the God that gave everything for you, that gave his life up for you?